Okay, Saturday, April 13th, 2024, coming back from the gym. So yeah, it's good. I couldn't even get out of bed this morning. It was, but you get one foot in front of the other, and just keep getting to the next thing. Get dressed up, get out the door, that type of thing, and eventually you're there, and then you start working out. I always start out with a 20-minute run. The first 5 minutes, I felt like my legs were filled with lead. Let me just check the mic. Yeah, it's blue. And then things started picking up. Last day or two, I tried a few live stream experiments, but nobody is online when I'm live streaming. The time zone is, it's during European working hours and when American people are asleep. And I don't have many Asian viewers in the Far East or any place like that. So I only got 292 viewers, trying to get up to 300. That's always one goal at a time, and then from 300 hopefully to 500. So I'm still thinking about this Reddit live stream. I mean, it's all about the timing, right? So it probably has to be very late, and I get tired, after the job and baby stuff and working out. But I think it's good to tell the story of what's happening here and comment on the news from a American living in Ukraine perspective. American Norwegian, I should say, living in Ukraine. So what's been in the news? So the Department of Defense advised Ukraine not to bomb the Russian oil refineries because it pushes oil prices up and makes it more difficult for Biden to get elected. And I was having some arguments, as usual, with people on LinkedIn as well. If you follow my LinkedIn, is in my profile somewhere. There's a link to my LinkedIn page. And they're like, well, the aid is stopped or the aid is suspended. It's not. It's just been slowed down. The Americans are doing the best they can, especially Biden, to help, finding every loophole and every stockpile they can do, and every workaround to get the weapons and ammunition to keep coming in. And then, when Ukraine goes against the benefactors' wishes, that, like I said, it's just they're going to shoot themselves here, because now Trump is like way up in the polls. And also what that shows, is that Ukraine is not a team player, not a cooperating ally type of thing. I mean, yes, it sucks that the Russians are doing all these bad things, but, war is mostly politics and logistics, that has to be managed. These things have to be managed, or, in the long run, if Trump gets in and cuts the money and changes the tone in Europe, then it's a problem. I mean, like I said in a previous video, let's hope that what he has in mind is what he does if he gets elected, because that's like a best case scenario to negotiate the 4 regions, Crimea, Donbass, Kherson, in exchange for a Western security guarantees and a cessation of the conflict, so that the airports can reopen and the money can flow in. I mean, Ukraine needs to read a little bit about American history. You don't want America to pull the rug. Look at South Vietnam, right? As soon as America pulled the rug, I mean, they were evacuating people from the U.S. Embassy with Huey helicopters on the rooftop. And the same thing happened in Afghanistan, like almost 50 years later. I mean, there were, people just rushing the planes and falling off the wings and everything, trying to get out. So there is historical precedent, and I think Ukraine needs to play ball with their American benefactors. I think back off these refinery strikes, so the oil prices come back down, and the inflation numbers will come back down in the U.S., and then the Fed can start cutting interest rates, and that'll juice the economy. And most Americans will keep the existing political party in power if the economy is good. That's actually nobody cares about really Ukraine and, you know, transvestites and all this other stuff, you know. If the economy is juiced and people are making money, they're gonna just want to keep the status quo. And that's just the sad reality. The American public has to be bought off. And the way you buy them off is like, you know, injecting capital into the economy, cheap money. You know, get those interest rates down so those house payments go down. You know, they can buy more car for the same payment. You know, when you have like a 1%, 2% interest rate, $500 gets you a lot more car than when your interest rate's like 8%, you know, or 10%. And that's really what it comes down to. It's nothing more than that, you know. And I wish Ukrainian leadership could be a little bit more mature, a little bit more strategic thinking, you know. And you know, Joe Biden he's not doing well in the polls. He needs an economic miracle. You know, I mean, the American economy, you know, statistically is doing good. But when I talk to people back in the U.S., I don't know why. I mean, they have more money in their 401ks than ever. Most of them, my friends, have paid off their houses. But I don't know, they're pissed. They're pissed that the Big Macs cost more. They're, I don't know what it is, you know, but Biden needs to do something, and definitely needs the economy on his side. If the economy is, if Fed doesn't cut interest rates and keeps things the way they are, it's just going to keep slowing down. The job market has started to slow down. It's still strong. It's still 3.8% unemployment. I mean, it's strong. It's really, really strong. But if things start slowing down, and the perception that things are slowing down and that we're going into a recession or something around November, he's going to lose. I mean, Jimmy Carter lost for this reason. George Bush Sr., Reagan's vice president. You know, I mean, this guy, George Bush's father, who was a president from 88 to 92, he had all the tailwinds. I mean, the economy was booming and everything, but you know, come 92, Bill Clinton got elected. You know, the economy was terrible. And, you know, then we got the Clinton boom. You know, and, you know, Bush had the 9/11 thing, but after 9/11, there was a Bush boom. And Bush won re-election because the economy was like really strong. I remember voting for him. I was at University of Illinois at that time, doing my MBA. Super left, super woke school, but I was like, you know, I want to keep my status quo. You know, so, you know, that time it was a really good time to flip homes. I was a home flipper like everyone else. So, yeah, Ukraine has got to help Biden out. Biden's helping Ukraine out. So, yeah, it's just that simple. You know, if they're going to go off and do everything on their own, take all this aid and all this intelligence support, you know, and then all the moral support in Europe, you know, trying to keep that coalition together, you know, it's on them. It's on them. This election situation in the U.S. is really fragile. It's really, I wouldn't say it's fragile. I mean, it's already, we know. I mean, Biden has to really change something. It's not a 51-49 thing. The sports betting has the margins much wider, and I'm looking at swing state polls almost every day. And I mean, Trump is up 10 points in some of those swing states, which is more than the margin of error. And I'm using 538, 270 to win. You know, they collect all these different polls, and most of these polls are left-leaning. Most of these polls have a pretty strong bias towards the left, and even then, Trump is ahead. And they're really, like I said, it's just Biden has made some missteps. You know, I mean, you know, it's just cosmetic stuff, but that counts. Marketing and packaging counts. You know, he had a big opportunity on Easter to connect with the Christians, but he decided to connect with a group that's only like 0.5% of the U.S. population, and they all vote in already strong blue, and most of those people live in strong blue states like California, New York, you know, where they're going to anyway, Florida. Well, I mean, Florida, yeah, that's red, but I mean, those states are already spoken for, let's say, or even those districts, are already spoken for. So I mean, yeah, it's terrible because, like I said, we're making all this. Other day I was talking about downsides of moving to America. I can tell you the downsides of moving to Europe. I'll talk about that one today. Like Norway or Belgium or Denmark or Netherlands. Number one is the jobs. Yes, you work less hours, but they don't pay well. I mean, I could almost make double in the US what I would make in Europe, and my taxes would be less with all the tax breaks I could get. If I bring my wife and kid and they don't work, and my wife is dependent and kid's dependent, and then I take out a veterans loan and get the mortgage interest deduction. I mean, like I said, it would be, it's just a health insurance is a pain getting, having to depend on a car. This walking culture is going to be lost. But in Europe, you just don't get paid well. Yes, you get a lot of time off and you get all this like social system, but the medical system is good for routine care. If you need routine checkups and stuff, but if there's like some big emergency, like you lose your fingers or something, it's only in America they can sew them back on. It'll cost you like your house, unless you're properly insured. But, so you have to, in Europe, you have to stay healthy, and just, hope for routine medical care. I mean, Norway is a little bit better, Norway's medical system, but I know Germany is backed up. Polish doctors, in Poland, the free medical system takes time to get an appointment. I'm hearing stories in Warsaw because of all the Ukrainians that moved over there. System is pretty backed up. So there are some downsides. It's very hard to work your way up in a company if you're a foreigner in Europe. It's on another level difficult. In America, it can even be to your advantage to be a foreigner. You just have a different mindset. And you see a lot of Indians born in India as CEOs of tech companies, and even just regular manufacturing companies and whatever. So it's more of a meritocracy in America than in Europe. Europe is all who you know. So in Europe, you're in America, you're working to live, or you're living to work in America, I should say. You're living to work. And in Europe, you're working to live. So, they enjoy the time off. You can take a trip to Turkey. You get 5 weeks off. So those are the pluses, like I said, one of the downsides in Europe is education. Yes, they get good PISA scores and all this, but actually in the right school districts in America, they're better. When you take America on an average, it's pretty bad. But when you go to selected school districts like suburban Philadelphia, suburban Chicago, places in the Midwest like Iowa, Minnesota, then you can find places where they will just blow Europe out of the water. That's because a lot of the Asian immigrants, are really pushing their kids. So, and in Norway, I know it's really hard. I know people that left Norway, their kids are really smart, and the school's almost trying to hold them back or not doing anything to challenge them further and get them, to make them use their full capacity. So the kids get bored, and then they're not able to realize their full potential. So that is a problem with European education, being an Asian parent, which I am, technically I have Asian DNA, parents come from India, even though I'm Norwegian and American by citizenship, I still have that, I want that push. I want my kid to have that real push. So it's still undecided, where to go. Getting a foothold in Europe would definitely be easier. We would just go there and show our IDs and, can go rent an apartment and get a bus pass, and, it'd take me about anywhere from 3 to 6 months to land a good job, and then, and get going. In America, it would take, we'd have to fly over there. We wouldn't have any of our stuff. Here I could moving to Europe, I could put all my stuff in a van and send it over. There's a lot of moving companies that would take the stuff, but there we'd have to start from zero, you know. And you know, Virginia Beach is not an option with the baby because of the jet noise. It's just it would do too much hearing damage, you know, and disrupt her nervous system and everything. It's really loud there. So we'd have to rent an apartment in America. I'd have to find a car, you know, get things set up a little bit, you know. So it's like, but I think once you get going, it would only take me like 6 weeks to 3 months to land a good job there. Things move. Things are much more fluid over there with jobs, and probably have to go through a couple jobs, you know. I mean, there'll probably be a few sucky jobs, you know, or contract jobs, or just jobs no one else will take, but they, you know, you just get some money coming in until you find a better one, you know, type of thing. If I can get back to BlackRock, you know, I'm waiting for, you know, wait for something to open up there that I could do, you know, or get back to or go to a company like JP Morgan, get back in one of the big banks, you know. So that could probably take a better course of 6 months. And so you just, but that's a cool thing with America. There's a lot of small companies with jobs, you know, and maybe some of them could become a big company. It's not actually as common as people would like to believe. You know, most of those like small companies that become big companies are all in California or Boston or New York, and then the rest are just like small companies doing various different things, you know, running school buses, you know, collecting garbage, you know, small IT companies, you know, handling restaurants, local restaurants, or things like that. But they always got some work, you know. It's okay, like I said, and it just gets you to where in Europe it's much harder to get this interim work, you know, and it takes much longer. But once you get something in Europe, it's, like I said, generally pretty good. The pay isn't good, but at least you got the health care covered. In America, I would have to be shelling out around $2,500 a month for the three of us, you know, for health care until I get a job, and then the company would pick it up. You know, then you get company benefits. So, but yeah, it's just like I said, pros and cons either way, Europe versus America. But you know, the plan is like we would like to come back here, you know, see what Trump does, you know, assuming he wins, and then if he hasn't thrown the whole country under the bus like South Vietnam or Afghanistan, and he actually does what he said in the Washington Post. Like I said, I was actually encouraged by that. Maybe all the Ukrainians and the world is mad, but they should be thankful that he didn't say something like he'd let Russia do whatever the hell they want in Ukraine. You know, that he would actually try to save something. You know, it's all relative. It's all relative. You know, everyone's just mad. They want it all, but they're not thinking realistically. Like I said, if Europe wanted to help Ukraine get it all back, they would have done so by now. F-16s would have been here. All the M1s would have been here. They would have built a Bradley factory here. I mean, they would have done a lot more. They would have, you know, built up an air defense system here. They would have had all the Patriots here. They got like 3 Patriot batteries here or something. It's like very few. They would have had hundreds, you know, and they would have encouraged the European allies to just dump all their weapons in Ukraine. And, you know, I mean, they would have done a lot more. So, you know, Europe is just talking, you know, it's just talk. And when Trump comes, I mean, it's the truth is going to come out. I mean, it's really, I don't want to be here, you know. I mean, if he's high in the polls, like I said, come October, and he's leading by more than 5 points, we're going to take a 6-month to rest of our life hiatus out of here. You know, and just seeing the way Ukraine is approaching this, I know it's probably just a tactic. They're doing the best they can, and then at some point they're going to have to accept reality, like the Koreans did. you know, so they don't end up like South Vietnam or Afghanistan. You know, it just sucks, right? But I mean, you can look at another perspective. NATO got to add 2 countries. You know, they got to add 2 countries. The alliance is strong as ever. And what did they give up for that? 17% of Ukraine. I mean, it's not all a complete loss. It's a big loss, but not. And it's got Europe now on its front foot instead of being passive. You know, Europe is hopefully going to grow from this, and then hopefully the Americans will, you know, realize the error of their ways. And this is Trump's last term. I mean, it's impossible to change the Constitution to keep him any longer. It'd be like you need 75% of the states, 75% of the Congress. That ain't going to happen. And then maybe we get like a normal Democrat, you know, or Nikki Haley, you know, or someone normal. I wouldn't say Ron DeSantis. I mean, you know, but he is a likely contender in 2028. But I think Haley would beat him again. And you get Nikki Haley, and she supports Ukraine. And then maybe they can start doing intelligence operations in Russia and start fissuring Russia, you know, and you know, encourage all those ethnic minorities to rise up. And then it'll collapse again. And then it'll all come back. This is how they got to think, you know. But right now the critical problem is we got to get these oil prices down and at least give Biden a good economy, so he has at least that argument going into October, November. You know, that the economy is strong, inflation is coming down. You know, Americans are all getting pay raises. Companies are spending more money, you know, and the interest rates are low. That's what he needs, and that's what Ukraine needs. Anyway, thank you, and have a nice day.